Mascusi! Hey everybody, Josh with ECIOV.com. That's voice spelled backwards.com. Coming at you from the studio. Here today we're going to be building the gaming PC. For those of you who watched that video, you'll know that the 9900K delay from Intel is holding up this build, which is why we haven't been able to put it together yet. Thankfully, I didn't get my 9900K, but I did grab a 9700K. There's a little bit of a difference between this and the 9900K, obviously. For one, this one doesn't have hyperthreading, which is probably a good thing considering a new hyperthreading vulnerability was just discovered by some researchers. This doesn't have it. It's not vulnerable to that exploit. Cool. But unfortunately, it is significantly less powerful than the 9900K for, let's say, productivity tasks. You really will not notice a difference between the 9900K and the 9700K from a gaming perspective. One of the other big differences is, well, heat. This puts off significantly less heat than the 9900K, so that's actually a really good thing for this build. Now, am I satisfied with the 9700K? Absolutely not. That's not the point of this build. The point of this build was to put a 9900K into this machine. We're going to go ahead and start this build with the 9700K, but then we'll iterate as we go along. We'll add the 9900K whenever I do get that from Amazon or wherever I can find one. And then we can play with water cooling and all sorts of other things later down the road. But for now, we're going to use the 9700K and put everything together so that we can actually benchmark our SSDs. We can really see how this ASRock board performs, how our cooling does overall. This is just going to be a good first step in this build, but we will always try to push the limits in this tiny case. So sit back and relax while I start building this Mini-ITX gaming rig, henceforth known as the Shadow. So I'm going to get all the components out of the shot here, and then we'll start building with the case. I got to pull that apart and see how the board fits and all that jazz. The Silverstone case didn't come with any instructions, which is kind of strange, but whatever, it's a Mini-ITX case. It can't be that hard, right? And as a reminder, don't forget to check out part 1 of this series. We actually talk about all the components that we're putting in here. I'm not going to rehash all that stuff right now. You might be able to figure it out as we go. And if you don't care about that, then I'm going to start pulling screws out. You might also notice that I'm on a static ESD mat. What is ESD? Well, electrostatic discharge. This static mat is actually grounded to the electrical system here in the studio so that any potential static electricity in the room can't hurt my stuff. So we have the mat here. You can see it's over there, and then I've got the wrist strap and blah, blah, blah. Probably overkill. There's not much static in here, but you know. Let's go ahead and throw the motherboard in it just as a test fit. I really want to make sure that all our components are going to fit before we get too far into the build. There's definitely some risk with the video card and the front fan. There could be some clearance issues there, as well as the heatsink on the processor and the EVGA power supply, which actually sits at the top of the build here. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just using a neodymium magnet in order to try and magnetize the screwdriver, because that helps with, you know, keeping the screws on your screwdriver as you're trying to put them in. Oh, almost there. Get in. Yes. Okay. So I've got it fitting lengthwise. Just gonna slot it in. Okay. And I think we are all the way seated. Man, look at that. That's nuts. If you can see from the overhead shot here how little clearance there is. I mean, I'm talking maybe a 1/4 inch between the end of that card and the edge of the case. There's no chance to be able to do anything but the RTX Founder Edition right now, because most of the other cards are significantly longer. They use 3 fan arrays and things like that, so they can overclock the card a little bit more. But this is all stock, and it fits perfectly in our case. So I'm stoked about that. The next question is really going to be the processor and heatsink fitting with the EVGA power supply. So I'm gonna pull all this stuff back out. We're gonna build our motherboard outside of the rig because that's obviously easier. And then we'll put it back in, we'll fit the power supply, and we'll make sure that everything fits. It might be tight, but tight is often good. Flex, baby, flex. There we go. All right. You know what? I'm gonna just go out the back. Yeah. Wow. There we go. I'm actually gonna put my M.2 on the bottom first because it's the only thing that goes on the bottom. Oh, it was just capped. What are you doing? They covered the screw threads with Kapton tape. Kapton tape is a special static electricity free tape that you would use for computer work, but I have no idea why they would have done that. If you know why they did that, let me know in the comments. I'd love to learn. All right, so now we need to pull the heat shield off of this side so that we can get the Samsung 970 Evo blade on this side of the motherboard. While I'm messing with the motherboard, I might as well tell you the extra research that we did on the ASRock versus the Asus motherboard. We went with the ASRock, obviously, or ASRock, however you want to pronounce it. And there's been enough evidence for us to determine that the ASRock is significantly more efficient than the Asus board. So that's why we decided to move forward with this board instead of the Asus. We're not even going to put the Asus in here. There's no point. Plenty of other information out there that just suggests that this board is better than the Asus, so that's it. All right, I'm going to grab the processor next. Again, this is the Intel 9700K. This is not the 9900K. When we get that, we will put that in and see what kind of benchmarks we can pull. And as we mentioned in our previous video, we're using a air-based Noctua cooling system right now. I'm not sure it's going to cool this system well enough to keep it. We may have to go with an all-in-one water cooling solution. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is put the CPU heatsink on. This is the G.skill Ripjaw 5. It's a DDR4, 32 gigs of RAM in this build. 16 is just never enough. Actually it is, but why not? Every time I have to go look for something, I keep forgetting to put my wrist strap back on, but you know, like I said, safety first, ESD safety. Yeah, it's just really tight, I guess. Seems like a common trend in this video. Alright, got a bigger screwdriver. Let's pull this sucker off. Front panel stuff is all in. Let's actually figure out how the fan goes in next. So let's use the overhead here. And you can see, mount-wise, obviously it goes on the inside, but you get a screw hole up here, down here, and then up here, and there's nothing here. Why? It's not happening. All right, so ran into problem number 1. It's okay, not a big deal, potentially fixable. Just gotta figure out what to do. Well, I had to go out and get it. Thankfully, I live less than a mile from Micro Center, so I snagged an EVGA closed loop CPU cooler. It's their CLC for the 120 millimeter. I did a little bit more research. 140 millimeter fan was never meant to go in this case. Silverstone says that you can put a 140 millimeter fan in here, but if you actually put the 140 in there, you can't fit a graphics card. So I went out and grabbed the all-in-one cooler, and now we get to continue. We are pretty much gonna have to pull everything back apart, take the knock to a heatsink off, and get the board out and all that stuff, so that we can do the all-in-one cooling system. Better now than later. Okay, so now we get to figure out the all-in-one cooling system, how that attaches. There's a specific tightening order for these nuts. So we should actually be able to put the motherboard back in now. All right, radiator's in. Let's get these plugged in to where they need to go. So the next thing I want to do is actually get the video card in there so we can 100% know that it's going to fit correctly. We can screw the front panel back in place, and then we'll do the rest of that. Perfect. All right. Got all that tucked away. Now we can finally get the power supply put back in. Now, we gotta get everything plugged in. Maybe, at some point we'll put some custom cables in here to try and clean it up a little bit more. I don't think that's gonna be necessary right now, because, like I said, we really only have 3 cables that we have to run. So, let's hope that everything works out exactly as we want. Let's go ahead and put the outside cover back on. All right, so after struggling with cables and trying to get everything to stay out of the way of the fan, we've got the case cover back on, and we are ready to plug this bad boy in and see what's up. So let me clean up this mess. I'll grab keyboard, mouse, monitor. As you can see, I've set up the whole machine. I'm gonna go stand up front here. But we are ready to try and fire it up. I did not test this off camera, so let's find out what happens. Well, we have power. You can hear the fan going. Cool. Hey, look at that. All right, so we just booted into the BIOS here, so you can see we've got our i7-9700K CPU running at the stock 3.6 gigahertz. We can also see that it's detecting our MP510 from Corsair, not crucial. In addition to the Samsung SSD blade, and our radiator fan is running at 1400 RPMs right now. Otherwise, we've got our temperatures over here. I think we are ready to install Windows. I'm not going to bore you with the Windows installation or anything like that. I'm just going to get all the software set up and then start running some benchmarks and see where we can push this thing as far as heat is concerned. But yeah, I expect we're going to be able to get some pretty wicked performance out of this build. And it fired up first try. Obviously, we ran into some gotchas with the Noctua cooling, so we switched over to the EVGA all-in-one water cooling system, so we should be totally good to go there. The only thing that we could really improve on this at this point would be to toss that 9900K in here whenever we can get a hold of one. But anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and click the notification bell so that you get all our updates. And as always, if you have any questions, let us know in the comments. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. And in the next video in this series, we're going to see how much we can overclock the shadow while still keeping the temperatures in check. If you want to see more about this build, you can see all of the components in the video that's on my face right now. If you would like to watch a video about headphones, specifically the Sony WH-1000XM3, then go click the video that's on the other side of the screen. Peace out.